Hello, divas, diamonds, and dolls, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to my YouTube channel, Femininity with Momma Gail. Today, let's answer an email from Missy T. Missy T says, "Hi, Momma Gail. I've been watching your videos and I value your advice. I am 49 years old and I have been with a gentleman for 6 years. He was married, had a fiance, and had a young lady that he asked to marry him, and she said no, that he had been with for 3 years. He says that he'll never ask a woman to marry him again. I've been with him 6 years. I love him and I want to marry him. Should I ask him to marry me?" Missy T, before I give you my opinion, and thank you for valuing my opinion, I'm going to say to you, if you've been with him 6 years, you guys should have been talking about some type of commitment agreement before 6 years. And I understand that it takes time for people to get to know each other, especially in this day and age that we live in and times we live in and people crazy and things of that nature. But 6 years is a long time for you to give to your life to somebody without you having some type of commitment, some type of talk about what the next phase is. Now that I have that out, if you want to marry him, I think you should ask yourself the question, am I prepared to deal with rejection? He's emotionally messed up. You didn't say whether he got any counseling, any type of help, whether he dealt with his issues, or what's going on with him. Is he still in pain? If you ask him to marry you, will he reject you? If he rejects you, are you emotionally stable enough to deal with the rejection that he says no? No is a complete statement, period behind it. He don't owe you no explanation. And if he's not healed, he may say no to project his anger, his fears off on you. If he's afraid of rejection and abandonment issues and you show that you want to marry him, who's to say that he won't say yes and then get into the marriage and has a fear that you are going to reject him? You are going to abandon him. You are going to leave him once he gets into the marriage. You said that he was already married. You said that he had a fiance. And then you said that he had a girlfriend who he proposed to after 3 years and she said no. That's a lot of damage and that's a lot to process if he had not worked on himself. Now, I do know of 2 people who have gotten married, 2 different relationships. And I'm going to tell you the good and I'm going to tell you the bad. A young lady asked a gentleman to marry her. They had been together for 5 years. She knew that he loved her. She knew that he was committed. She knew that he was ready for a relationship. But because she was not bound to traditional way of doing things, she decided to ask him to marry her. And it's been about 19 years. And they're still happily married. But on the flip side, I know a young lady who's been dating this man for 25 years. Long years. And she asked him to marry her. And he said no. 25 years. And he says no. But anywho, he said no. She's broken and distraught. But she's still with him. I say to you, if you can handle rejection, who's to know? Who's to say? Maybe he's ready for commitment. But you need to sit down and have a serious conversation with him. What is his stance on marriage? Does he still believe in marriage? Where does he see you guys in the next year, 2 years? Will he ever marry? And I will also say this, as a feminine young lady, Missy T, femininity, if you are doing your part flowing in feminine energy, you're being consistent, you're open to receive, you're being his sweet spot, you are helping him to heal the emotional wounds, as far and even encouraging him to go get help if he needed to talk to somebody. Because it's not fair to you to be in a relationship for 6 years with somebody who's broken, wounded, scarred, and saying that he will never ask a woman to marry him again. Maybe he does love you. And maybe he's waiting on you to ask him. But you need to have a conversation with him to find out where he is. Because if you don't have that conversation and he's changed his stance on marriage, he doesn't ever want to get married again, then sweetie, you got to be prepared for rejection if you ask him without that conversation. And if you do marry him and he's still wounded, broken, and scarred, are you able to live with him with the fear of you're going to abandon him? The fear that you're going to reject him? The fear that something is going to happen in the relationship because he hasn't dealt with the rejection, the fears, the past, the brokenness, the hurt of the past? Marriages do work when women ask a gentleman to marry them. Marriages also, proposals by women also get rejected. After 25 years, he told her why he won't marry her. But he'll live in the house with her, eat her food, sleep in her bed. But anywho, let me not go off onto that. It's one of my cousins. This is why I'm like, But anywho, my opinion, a feminine woman, if you bring healing presence, we always talk about what we won't do. And so do men. Men say, I will never. I won't ever. But love speaks another language, sweetie. And if he loves you, he want to be with you. He does not want to lose you. He will marry you. He will ask you to marry you. I mean, if you throw it out there, like I said, conversation, communication is everything. And if you start communicating with him now, real talk, having these open talks with him, hopefully after 6 years, you've already established that. But if you have a conversation with him and this is what he wants, give him a little time, maybe a week or two, and wait and see if he asks you to marry him. I'm traditional. I'll never say what I won't do, but I seriously doubt if I would ask a man to marry me, only because I think it's a beautiful thing when a masculine man, proposes to a woman. It's a beautiful thing. Not to say that it can't be beautiful if it's a woman proposing to the man. I told you the story of the young lady. They've been married for 19 years happily. But in the same token, sweetie, prepare yourself. Make sure it's what you want. Make sure it's what he wants. Make sure the feelings are mutual. Make sure he's still not broken and damaged. You're not carrying baggage into a marriage that you asked for. Because a man will throw that in your face. You asked me to marry you. You asked for this marriage. I ain't never want to be married. But anywho, this is Femininity with Mama Gail. Don't forget to like and subscribe to my YouTube channel, Missy T. I hope this answers your question. Process, think, conversate. Have a blessed and prosperous day, divas, diamonds, and dolls. Ladies and gentlemen.